Today, we're diving into something truly fascinating. It's this unique and honestly powerful ability that Japan has to take ideas from the outside world and not just copy them, but to refine them, to polish them until they become something distinctly and often perfectly Japanese.
So take a look at these three things: a spirit that was born in the hills of Scotland, a simple word you might hear every day, and a sacred gate that's an icon of Japanese spirituality. On the surface, they couldn't be more different, right? But there's this invisible thread, this powerful connection that ties them all together.
And that's the secret. Every single one of them started out as an import, a concept from another culture, a product from another country, an architectural style from far away. But through this incredible process of study, of adaptation, and just relentless refinement, they were completely transformed. This is the story of how Japan makes the foreign its own.
All right, so let's start with the most direct way cultures borrow from each other: language. This happens everywhere, of course, but the way Japanese handles it is, well, it's pretty special.
In Japan, these are called gairaigo. Now, for centuries, Japanese borrowed a ton from Chinese. But in the modern era, you see this flood of words coming in from Portuguese, German, French, and especially English. And they even have a special script, katakana, that basically acts as a signpost telling you, hey, this word isn't originally from around here.
And this is where the real magic happens. It's not just a simple copy and paste. The pronunciations get tweaked, Japanized, to fit the sounds of the language. Words get conveniently shortened, so supermarket becomes supa, department store becomes departo. But sometimes, and this is my favorite part, the meaning does a complete 180. You know, in English, a mansion is a gigantic, luxurious house. In Japan, a manshan is an apartment, just a regular apartment.
And this is the final brilliant step in the process. Sometimes the adaptation is so creative that whole new words get invented, like salaryman. And then you have the case of the Walkman, a Japanese creation so iconic, so successful that it was adopted into English dictionaries around the world. It completes the full circle of cultural exchange. Just amazing.
Okay, so from words, let's move to something you can actually hold in your hand: a glass of whiskey. And this story isn't just about imitation. It's a story of surpassing the master.
So the journey really kicks off in the mid-1800s, but the pivotal moment, the one that changes everything, is 1918. A young chemist named Masataka Taketsuru travels to Scotland, the heartland of whiskey. He enrolls in university, he apprentices at distilleries, and he brings all that precious knowledge back home. By 1929, Japan has its own whiskey. But the real climax of this story comes in 2001, in a moment that just sent shockwaves through the entire spirits world.
And you gotta understand, this was not easy. As Taketsuru himself said, trying to replicate the magic of Scotch whiskey was incredibly difficult. You couldn't just follow a recipe. It took this deep, almost obsessive dedication to understanding every single part of the process.
So how on earth did they do it? Well, they blended this deep respect for tradition with some absolutely fearless innovation. Take Nikka, for example. They stuck with old-school coal-fired stills because they knew it created a powerful traditional flavor. But at the same time, they took huge risks, experimenting with new types of oak casks, something even the Scots were nervous about. They applied modern science to pull out more umami notes, and they perfectly used Japan's unique climate and its incredibly pure water to their advantage.
And the results were just staggering. In 2001, Whiskey Magazine holds its Best of the Best awards. It's a blind tasting, so no one knows what they're drinking. And the winners? First and second place didn't go to some legendary Scotch. They went to Japan's Nikka and Suntory. It was the culmination of an 80-year quest. The student had officially surpassed the master.
Now for our final case study, we're going to move from the material world to the spiritual. And this one gets to the very heart of Japanese identity: the sacred Torii gate.
Anyone who's ever seen a photo of Japan knows this image. The Torii is the unmistakable symbol of a Shinto shrine. It's this beautiful, simple piece of architecture that tells you you are now leaving the ordinary, everyday world and you are about to enter a sacred space. It is quintessentially Japanese. Or is it? This is where our story takes a really fascinating turn, because the origins of something so deeply, profoundly ingrained in Japanese culture might actually lie thousands of miles away. The leading theory, and it's a pretty compelling one, points all the way to India and to a structure called the Torana. These sacred gateways are a big deal in Indian Buddhist architecture, and, well, they bear a really striking resemblance to the Japanese Torii.
I mean, just look at the comparison. They serve the exact same function: to mark the entrance to a sacred area.
The names themselves, Torana and Torii, are linguistically similar, and the basic architectural shape is there. The thinking is that the idea probably traveled with Buddhism along the Silk Road, through China, Korea, and finally arrived in Japan.
You can almost picture how it might have evolved. Maybe it started with just simple posts and a rope marking a sacred spot. Then, the rope gets replaced by a proper wooden top beam, the kasagi. And later, a second beam, the nuki, is added below it for support. Step by step, it's refined into the iconic shape we all recognize today. But here is the most important part. It doesn't really matter where it came from. Because Japan didn't just copy the Torii, it absorbed it. It was integrated so completely into Shintoism and even some branches of Buddhism that it became this profound national and spiritual symbol, completely and utterly Japanese.
So we've seen this pattern in words, in whiskey, and in a sacred gate, so let's pull back. What is the big picture here? What does this all tell us?
You see this clear three-step pattern again and again. First, you adopt. You take in the foreign idea, a word, a spirit, a gate, without prejudice. Second, you adapt. You meticulously take it apart and rebuild it to fit a new Japanese context. And finally, you perfect. Through this relentless focus and dedication, you refine it, often to a level that rivals or even surpasses the original.
This isn't just a series of coincidences. It's like a cultural engine. It's this deep-seated philosophy of craftsmanship and continuous improvement that's been driving things for centuries. This cycle of adopting, adapting, and perfecting is truly one of the key forces that has shaped Japanese innovation and identity. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. We often think of innovation as that eureka moment, the flash of a brand new idea. But what can we learn from a culture where innovation is also seen as this patient, relentless, lifelong pursuit of perfection? It's a different kind of genius, for sure, but no less powerful. It's all rooted in the belief that anything worth doing is worth mastering.